Are you crazy? Or are you just mad?
Hello. Welcome to the Mad Musicians Against Depression podcast, where we discuss the latest news, research and hot topics surrounding mental health. I'm Thomas Maher, and I'm joined in studio by my beautiful co-host, award-winning singer, songwriter and presenter, Indiraa.
Welcome back to the show.
It's me.
You're looking
I'm back in
So she's singing over the song. Oh my God almighty. She's here. Welcome back, folks, for another episode of the Mad Podcast, episode number 24. We're back and we have a very special guest with us today, Richard, who's on travelling duties, and he's come to see us on the farm. Hello, Richard. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Tommy. Hi, Indiraa.
Very good.
Hi.
Lovely to meet you both.
I know Richard for the past many years, and of course he's a long-standing friend of Indiraa. So it's great pleasure to have you here, and you've got lots to share with us later on in the show.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Yes. How did you know this crazy Indiraa woman?
I've known her since I've been a child. She is family. She's more than family. She's been a non-judgmental support to me as a friend all my life. Mm-hmm. And so that means big one for me.
Big one for you. You like big ones, don't you?
Not too big.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah, and how do you know this lunatic?
This lunatic.
This is different from the truth he just said now.
Yeah, no, we've known each other a long time. Mm-hmm. And we've always got on really well and could tell each other just about anything and everything. And like he says, I was never judgmental. He was never judgmental with me. And that's it.
I think we needed that because that's very key in intimate relationships, to not have that sense of morality and judgment, so that people can speak to each other very candidly and openly without having that sense of, that is a real true friend.
Absolutely.
You know, who else but a bosom buddy could tell you how rotten you are?
Oh, I'm so lucky. Like a room without a roof. I'm happy.
Happy mood. So the word judgmental came up there, folks, because today is a very special episode where we're discussing homophobia, homosexuality and mental health. And that's why we've got Richard here today to tell us a bit more about that later in the show. So we're going to go straight into today. We're going to do one less topic today, because we're going to spend more time talking with Richard.
Yeah, so that sounds like a plan.
Let's see what Indira's topics are today. So on episode 24, we have how to let go of problems that drain you. Indira, that's yours.
Get rid of Tom.
Yeah, get rid of me. Exactly. And then mine is psychologist warns money hoarders may never feel secure due to financial disorder. Ooh. And then of course you come back with, which is the main topic of today's conversation, homosexuality and mental health.
Fantastic.
Yes. And we have a special UFO. What a load of crap, honestly.
I know.
What is it? I'm going to leave that one till the end because it's quite a nice one. So I won't even say what it is. So we're going to keep the secret for now.
Okay.
No, I'll tell you a lie. I'll tell you why it's a secret, because I forgot to write down the title. But I have it here, so don't worry. You get the title.
We can make up the title as we go along. Oh, come on. Today's game is make up the title.
Yeah, make it up then. Go on.
Okay.
Make it up.
UFO.
No, you couldn't.
UFO.
Oh, you couldn't make it up, could you?
I did.
You did?
UFO.
Richard, can you do better than that?
Nope.
Ding-a-ling, time up. Okay. No, you can't. Okay. Take it away, Indiraa. Give us the first one.
How to let go of the problems that drain you. The article offers advice from general practitioner on how to manage emotional exhaustion. We all have that. From life's challenges. We all have that. It suggests recognizing problems that drain you, setting boundaries. This is my biggest problem, by the way. And developing a self-care routine. I'm going to the hairdressers today. Does that count? The focus is on maintaining mental well-being and preventing burnout through mindfulness and prioritization of personal needs. So if you need to know this article in detail, you know where to go.
That was nice, short and sweet. Richard, you want something to add to that?
Yes, we were just discussing this morning about how a friend had been taking undue material advantage of Indiraa. We should mention the name, of course. And I said, she'd better watch it for the next time around and have your antennae up for people who do that. That's part of honoring and taking care of yourself.
No, true. But unfortunately, there's many people like that who come to the farm on a regular basis.
Yes, but
you're absolutely right.
You've got to have a radar to see who are the genuine ones and sift out the wheat from the chaff.
Absolutely
or
right.
the chaff from the wheat.
Absolutely right. Correct and right. What do you think, Indiraa? Yeah. Okay. So,
but Rishad has a gaydar.
Ooh!
It's funny you say that, but mine is actually, honestly, really, really bad, and you know that.
Yes, actually, I do. I keep trying to fix him up with people, and he keeps.
Actually, you have a really bad gaydar, because the last one you said you thought wasn't the one we were just talking about.
Yes, he's got 3 kids now, so
exactly. So that's.
But that's not always a giveaway.
That doesn't mean he could be a bidar, though.
Yeah, he could be a bidar. Yeah, absolutely right. Okay. So we're keeping all the conversation short today because we're going to spend more time talking with Richard very shortly. So yeah. Okay, so here we're on to my article.
Put your glasses on, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I have them here. So it's psychologist
warns. He does this every time.
Lordy buff. What would I do without you, Indiraa? I can't read it because I can't see the computer. Hold on a second. So psychologist warns money hoarders may never feel secure due to financial disorder. Right. Okay, that's not either of you, by the way, so you never had that problem. Okay, this article discusses a financial disorder called money hoarding, where individuals accumulate excessive savings but still feel insecure about their financial situation. A psychologist warns that this behaviour may lead to anxiety and an inability to feel secure regardless of the amount saved. The disorder can stem from various factors like past financial trauma, and while saving is generally positive, obsessive saving can negatively impact mental health and quality of life. Now, I have an uncle who's exactly like that.
Yeah, you do.
He wouldn't spend Christmas, but I won't mention any names in the show, but he's a very nice guy, but he's, my God. He's got serious issues. Yeah, he is well off, but he's exactly this type of person they're talking about in this article. But he's got no quality of life because he just doesn't do anything, doesn't enjoy anything in his life, does nothing. He stays indoors most times.
He's got no one to spend it on, and when he did, he's scared they'll take him for a ride, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. So he has no life at all.
Yeah, no life
That's whatsoever.
So sad. It is very, very sad, to be fair. So yeah, of course, folks, if you want to read more about these articles in depth, the links will be included in the show notes. And Indiraa, we're on to you now which is the main topic of the day, which you're going to tell us about, is homosexuality and mental health.
Yeah, so people who identify with LGBTQ and more likely to experience mental health issues in general than the general population. This may be due to the stressful social environment created by a stigma, prejudice, and discrimination. Some factors that contribute to this include discrimination. LGBTQ plus people may experience discrimination, homophobia, transphobia, bullying, social isolation, and rejection. Suicidal behavior. Gay and bisexual men are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than the rest of the population. That's scary. Depression and anxiety. LGBTQ people are 1.5 times more likely to have depression and anxiety than the rest of the population. Long-term mental health conditions. Transgender people are more likely to having long-term mental health conditions than non-trans people. The association between sexual orientation, mental health varies across, of course, varies across the life course, with highest risk among older adults. Now, I'm going to ask you, Richard, which part of that actually sticks out to you as odd or different or similar?
How interesting. It completely resonates. So I was suicidal in my teens. So suicidal doesn't necessarily mean one attempts to do it, but it's a mental thought and way of thinking. And I certainly did think about it very often because I'd reached the end of my tether in terms of how does this go? How do I accept myself? How does society accept me? And this was in the early 80s. in India.
But you were such a beautiful person. Everyone would love you for who you are.
Thank you. And the problem was that I think in your teens, you are loved, but you don't get to love yourself first. And that's so important. I then went through a classified depression. Fortunately, it wasn't clinical or I didn't need medication for it, but I did go to counseling for 3.5 years, every day, Monday to Friday, for an hour. I was again very fortunate to have an Irish therapist, actually, Mr. Tom, and her name was Irene, and she was excellent And so it took me a while to come to terms with, I think the problem with the sexual stigma is that it's not how much you are judged or not, it's your perception of what the world may think of you if you just simply express who you are. And that was a major one to overcome, until it took me years and years of a lot of work on the self, exploring many, I would say, spiritual lineages. I explored many modalities of healing like Reiki and Silva, and finally have become a therapist myself, which helped tremendously in the journey, because then it made me step back and say it's not always all about me and my issue and my depression, that I can actually give back and help people who are in similar situations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In the future, I would like to have a more expanded operation, in the sense that I'd like to have people from all walks of life to be able to come to a sort of center or a space where they're not judged and they can avail of various therapies to improve them on various levels, because it takes not only one form. Not counseling was enough. I think you need the spiritual angle. I think for me, the physical and the health aspect was very, very strong. I knew that I had a very strong exercise of ethos. If I remember, Indiraa and me used to go swimming together. We used to jog together. We were very conscious about the body. And I think that's a very, very important quotient, to keep yourself active every day, to release the right positive endorphins and all else that needs to be done to keep yourself mentally active, mentally healthy, mentally happy. Learning to maintain and transform those negative thought patterns into either neutral or positive. That played an important role. In my case, what helped a lot was augmenting my diet.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work for everyone. It does for me. So that helped a lot. I went off the inflammatory foods that didn't work for me. Again, not across the board. This is not, a generalization, but gluten didn't work for me. Dairy didn't work for me. Sugar certainly doesn't work for me. And now I'm more balanced about it, but I did go through a very extreme phase, and I needed to go through that for the body to detox and then come to its balance. So I think detoxification from chemicals, from harmful foods, etc., played a huge part in my mental makeup and my physical, sense of being. And then I think it's a constant work. It just goes on and on. It's never ending. It's like the layers of the onion before you get to the core. It just goes on and on. You can continuously discover things about yourself, whether good, bad, or ugly, and you work on them very specifically.
But initially, like when you're in a place where people are not very good at accepting it, did you find you were very rebellious?
I think, unfortunately, in my case, my rebellion was probably not so overt and open. I did it in passive-aggressive ways, in the sense that I turned it onto myself. And what I did was I tended to sabotage myself by not working, not wanting to earn money, thinking I was entitled, thinking I was, somehow, because of this issue, I felt I could use it as an excuse to not work and to not do anything seriously. And I could continuously say, I was the subject of narcissistic abuse, or I was of judgment. And I think all those things at the time had to happen. But when I look back in retrospect, I realized how an ethos of disciplined work and focus can take you such a long way in this process. And it could be anything that you choose to do, even if it means, selling one type of fruit or whatever you do, as long as you're consistent. So consistency, I'm still working at. Consistency is difficult. I know that I also came from a broken home. My parents split up, which was the hardest thing that happened, because at the age of 19, I felt the rug was taken out from under my feet and I had no foundation. But I also use that as a wonderful excuse. And I think one has to be careful to see how you negotiate life.
Yeah.
It's hard to admit it, though, but it's really good to admit things that, I feel,
So basically, you've kind of taken a holistic and spiritual approach to solidifying your identity.
That's right.
To balance yourself out.
And I think the wonderful thing about the thing that I know for sure is that if somebody asks me, what I get sometimes confused about, and I'm not sure whether this might go down well, but I feel I don't want to solely be identified as my sexual identity, because I am so much more.
Absolutely, yeah.
My parents are aging at the moment, so I count myself as a caregiver. I have a brother who's a child of special needs, so I'm caregiving to him. So I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a therapist, I am a friend, I'm so many things. And so I think that sometimes I feel sexuality is just a small percentage of what I am.
Well, it's like you don't expect someone say, "Oh, Indiraa, you're heterosexual." This is my heterosexual friend, or she goes to a heterosexual pub. She doesn't go to
Absolutely.
gay pub. I never understood people saying that.
Nor did I. Being gay, I never understood that. I said, why do you have to go around saying...
And that's why we still have that link between homosexuality and mental health, because they're both very much still stigmatized to this day.
They are very much stigmatized.
But it doesn't mean that the sole identifying factor of your identity is just your gender or your sexuality. There's so much more and holistic to you as a human being. There may be, in fact, if I would identify with one thing at the moment, and this is just what's happening at the moment in my life, as a predominant factor of my life, it probably would be as a therapist, because that's what I do the most.
And you're very good at it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so good. Today I had the best.
So for me,
my gosh, yeah.
There are days where I don't think about my sexuality or sexualness or anything. And then, as you said, nobody says, "Hello, I'm straight Indiraa," or "Hello,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm straight Tommy."
Yeah.
And I don't have to say I'm straight or
I
gay
never
Richard.
understood it when I came to Europe, and they said, "Oh," and in England they said, "Oh no, but we can't meet there. It's a gay bar." And I said, "What? The one across the road is a heterosexual bar. So why does it have to be a gay? What is wrong with that? So
It's been
what?"
labelled.
I so identify with that, Indiraa, because I have always said that, though I do get it, because I think that people...
Strength lies in numbers.
Strength lies in numbers, and people need to feel safe and not judged within the community. But I always prayed for a time where bars would come, where everybody was just welcome to allow themselves to be just who they are.
Absolutely.
Whoever they were.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and not only their sexuality, but whether it be anybody from any social strata. For example, there are elitist bars, for example, and there they don't discriminate.
Yeah.
As long as you're willing to pay to become a member, for example, there they don't discriminate. So why? So, hopefully, ideally, there will be a time where everybody is embraced and accepted and welcome everywhere. But I do understand that for the moment, people need to feel cocooned and safe in certain environments, and therefore they have to be called something.
Or it's the evolution of mankind. I mean, there's certain segments of mankind still are very kind of far behind other segments of...
For sure, as we can see now during, for example, the elections in America and what people are talking about.
Me.
Exactly.
I mean, it's become such a big part of who's going to prove that they're more broad-minded.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. You shouldn't even be talking about stuff like this as in regard to who you want to vote for you. It's ridiculous.
But it isn't much.
But you can see there's a huge divide, and
Massive.
there's a huge divide, and the percentage is substantial of those who support and don't support
but
certain
you see,
issues.
the thing is, the
Tens of
funny
millions.
part of it is that people, if it's coming to things like getting votes, they're willing to say they're broad-minded when they're not. When all their lives they've been homophobic and, like Trump, sorry to say, but, now he's suddenly this big broad-minded man, and he's not, because it was a certain segment of people that follow him are known for being like like the movie about a cowboy who was gay, it wasn't even accepted because they're tough and they're tough, rough and Texan or whatever, mix good and red, as they say, but everyone's entitled to be who they are.
No, it's a journey, and I think we're a long way off. It's like some people are there. It's like Richard here has taken his own journey, and he's went the holistic route, spiritual route, to define certain things in his life. But not many people do that regardless of their sexuality. But I think if everybody took that route in some aspect of it, we'd all be much better people.
Definitely.
And a lot further
I
down
think
the line.
it's the only answer. I think the evolution and the betterment of your consciousness and the constant striving to get rid of those layers of conditioning. All it is conditioning.
Yeah.
The philosophy that I follow in a nutshell is to just decondition all your past thoughts. So, if you have an opinion, for example, you make statements, for example, like something is bad and something is good. It's just coming to that gray area in your life, which just accepts that there is a neutral that is in every aspect of life, and you can home in onto the neutral and not judge it for what it is.
Yeah, it's just okay.
And it's just
okay.
fine.
Everything's okay.
If somebody's depressed, that's okay. If somebody's suicidal, that's okay. If, there's no need to say, oh, I don't like that person, he's always angry all the time. Well, his anger is coming from somewhere. And you know what? It's okay. He's got to work through that.
Yeah.
Or she's got to work through that.
Yeah. It's
And
the
the only
tolerability.
answer-
We're not a very tolerable race at the moment,
I think it's coming,
It has to
Tom,
come.
it's coming.
It has to
It's
come.
coming slowly. I think you can feel it more and more in pockets. I think people are, the only answer is unity at the
But
moment.
you know what bothers
Yeah,
me
yeah,
is
yeah.
when you see all the wars and the kind of aggression they take out on each other and the kind of things they're doing to each other. It just shows the amount of unbridled anger and hate there is inside that comes out in the most devastating ways. So
It's
honestly,
ridiculous. Who would have thought that in 2024, as we stand today, there would be major clashes and wars in the world? We thought we were rid of it, but
Yeah.
there is two ongoing major
Huge
clashes.
ones.
Yeah.
No,
Huge
three at the
ones,
moment.
3,
Yeah.
and then God knows how many more, But it's interesting because I think the rest of the world is raising the light, and these issues do come up to also create a mass awareness and raising of the consciousness by the rest of the world, so that we can
But do you not,
cast some sort of light on those darkness,
but
on
do you
those
not
shadows.
realize that one person can start a war between 2 full countries?
Yeah.
And one can start a war between 3 and 4 countries and get away with it. This is, I would have arrested and thrown him behind bars, but you can't do
It's a
that.
powerful dictatorship. That's the problem with these people. You have people like him, like Kim Jong, Putin, and XI or whatever his name is.
And
Chinese.
Bibi Netanyahu,
Yeah, he's obviously he's come to the forefront now as another dictator.
terrible
recently,
and gone crazy now. It's all 3 different countries. So we won't go there. But
It seems
it's
like
not
we have
fair.
to go through this to be better at the end of it.
But that's what we always thought when we, about the world wars, this, that. But we aren't getting anywhere. We're really not.
But I think, eventually we will. Because no matter all the travesty and all the horrific stuff that's going on with all these wars on, there is a lot of positives to take from this.
Yes, I think there is that this is giving rise to a community which does not want and will not accept it. And I see it
Agreed,
particularly
exactly.
in the burning youth of today.
Yes, exactly.
I see it so strong because I have friends who have children now they're probably in their 20s now, and they are just fantastic. They are recycling and they are thinking about world issues and they are giving their opinions and they're consuming the right things and they're doing all the things. To me, a huge part is saving the natural areas of this. And I think what I learned when I studied animal communication was all of us have a huge dent in our consciousnesses because we have lost the connection to nature and the natural forces. And
That's true.
I think if we get back to nature and we get back to our communication with nature and live in nature more and more, I think that's when this huge divide will get less and less. And therefore, if you see, there was this fabulous documentary on National Geographic on longevity, and they scan these communities from all over the world, and people who lived the longest all had the same common factors, and they were living in with nature on the ground,
Absolutely.
growing their own food,
In tune with it, yeah.
walking and picking their own food till they were at a very advanced age, and living serene, stressless, non-urban lives that made them live longer. So now that's not to say that one cannot have the urban life and be connected to nature. You can do it. You can have them both.
Of course.
There are ways to connect to nature even in your little apartment in New York City or wherever you are.
Yeah, we've just actually done some recent articles about nature and mental health. And it even says just as little as 10 to 15 minutes each day walking in the park, going out and doing your gardening, sitting out admiring the landscape, looking into the sky at night has massive positive impacts on mental health.
The sky at night thing is amazing because I put 3 skylights in the house now. I actually have because I want to sit and look at the stars. It actually gives me so much pleasure. You have no idea.
And interestingly, this morning when you were walking and you say you never put your footwear on, and there's a huge book on grounding. And
I'm always walking.
You've heard of grounding, right, Tom?
Yeah.
And it's so important. And they said that there is an immediate effect when your feet are in contact with the soil or the sand that happens viscerally in the cells of your body, and everything falls into place. And they said you need just 15 to 20 minutes of placing your feet on the raw earth, wherever you may be, to completely transform the cellular structure of your major vessels and organs in the body. So it has such a profound effect because we are meant to be constantly in touch,
of course,
with nature of some form.
It's like I actually am so comfortable walking barefoot, and I keep getting told off. Put some slippers on, put some shoes on. You're going to catch a cold.
It's the best thing that you can do.
And I don't listen at all because I'm most comfortable doing that. And I was talking about this whole connection with nature, about Indians eating with their hands and sitting on the ground and eating off a banana thing in the villages, like in my grandparents' house. And you touch your food. We eat with our hands, so you connect with the touch of the sense of touch, the sense of smell when you bring it to your mouth, your nose, the sense of taste, the sense of the texture, everything. All your senses are highlighted because you're actually sitting on the ground with nature and you're connecting.
And it's interesting you say that. That of course goes without mentioning, but in the philosophy that I follow, you are supposed to actually cook your own food and put your own energy into it. And the best way to sort of get the best nutrition is cooking your own food and eating it. And yet there are, I think, months and months and months that go by where people order in and they don't realize that it's other people's energy, it's the hygiene, and I'm so happy here at the farm that, Indiraa, that you cook every day and we get to eat this divine food that
I love cooking. I love cooking.
And so do I. Remember we used to cook up a storm together.
Yeah, we always cooked together. That was another thing we did together.
It was so nice to do that. I know I have a small apartment in Pondicherry in India, and I cook there. And it's just the best thing when I cook for myself and I eat it myself. I just said, oh my God, why did I waste time going to the restaurant, waiting? I could have done all that in half an hour at home and had the best meal. Of course, that's not to say that one, has to live like that every day.
But it's also like in India, ordering from your cooks, make this, make that. What's the fun of that when you don't put your input into it?
Yeah. Well, you both obviously enjoy cooking very much.
Yep.
Yeah, but you do too when you join in, when you now
I can cook. I can cook, but I'm not a cook, but I can cook some basic stuff. What I do well. And actually, when I do it,
I think the importance is not that. I think the importance is that if you do it with your energy and with your hands, you get to eat what you are making yourself, and you're nourishing you. You know what nourishes you the best. Even though it may not be the ideal thing, it basically because your vibration goes into the food and it syncs with that, and therefore your digestion and everything goes better.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, again, that's the holistic point. That's the holistic aspect of it.
And it's actually very simple if you break it down. life, to live a holistic life more in sync with nature is far simpler than we've made it out to be. I think we complicate it.
Of course we do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to a little bit early in your childhood, when you first realised you're homosexual.
Yes.
Was it difficult for you to come to terms with that when you realised?
I think the most difficult part, probably more than that, was having to, how do I break this to my parents? And although they were extremely broad-minded on one level, I think no child at that time we weren't taught to hold ourselves high no matter who you were.
Yeah.
You had to be performing in a certain way. You had to be conforming in a certain way to society.
You had to be a good student. You had to be a good
Yeah,
athlete.
there was a lot based on
yeah.
performance. There was a lot and especially, I was very fortunate to come from privilege, and therefore it was even more pressure because I was, there were certain things that were expected of me. So
you were under a microscope, really, to shine as this amazing son, because his brother had special needs. So all the pressure was on him.
So did you have to remain closeted for a time?
Not too long. I actually came out surprisingly early. If you remember that, it was exactly 40 years ago to this day.
It went down like
So I was 15.
very badly.
Did it?
It didn't go down so badly, but what was interesting was that I must say my parents weren't, but I knew there was a huge sense of disappointment. But also there was a big difference. My parents both individually were highly achievement-oriented and goal-oriented people. And so for me, that again was never my focus in life. It was never about how well I could, I was never the seeking to be number one student or in anything. I was just always happier to be and be happy doing what I wanted to do. I never strove to beat anyone or be competitive with anyone. That wasn't my thing ever. So I think the hardest thing was to be able to go in my mind to my parents and say, you've given birth to a loser child kind of thing. That was, and now this is one more sort of thing that you have to accept about him. In spite of the fact that he's an average student and everything else. And now on top of that, he's gay. So that was the hardest part. But other than that, I think India allowed me, surprisingly at the time, my classmates in school and things like that, there was never any gay bashing. It was very, very, it was maybe not spoken about too much, but there was a lot of acceptance because I always had good friends, male and female. And, it had nothing to do with sexuality. I was lucky that way. And I had my family and Indira's family. So they were a huge support to me. Again, not very non-judgmental. They just loved me for who I was, not for what I could give.
What's not to love?
Thank you. And likewise, So I think we were lucky to have that.
Did you experience much homophobia when you're growing up?
I experienced it in subtle ways. I think there were certain people who I could instinctively tell that, for example, I belonged to a sports club. We spoke about this morning. And I would go there and I could just instinctively tell when I'd enter the club that people would be sniggering and talking about me when I was there. In the early years, of course, it affected me. But now, of course, I think the world's a bigger place. And, it's interestingly, I think now, in fact, sexuality is far more accepted. It's really not a big deal. I think it's worse if you're not a nice person sort of thing.
For sure.
I think, that makes a big difference in today's world.
100%.
I think if you're not nice and you're not doing nice things and you're not being a good person to other
You're setting
people,
yourself as a target then.
that is, I think, much worse than sexuality because...
Also, but don't forget, sexuality is branched out into such weird things like, pedophilia and this and that the focus now is like, how can this have happened? Like, that is not okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, that'll never be okay. But maybe someone would think, well, that's the way it is. But it's if you can't accept, why should, it's just, to me, it's your choice what you do, but there are certain lines you have to draw in terms of what is a morally okay thing. And I do think that, everyone has a choice to choose, the fundamental physiological motives, what you eat, drink, whatever, and what sex you sleep with. It's your choice. What difference does it make?
Of course.
As far as I'm concerned.
I know you now for quite some time now, a number of years. And I can say, like, having known you, you're very, very happy in your skin now.
Yes.
I didn't know your younger years.
Yes.
And I would say you've certainly travelled quite some way down the road of enlightenment, because that's obviously where we all want to be.
Exactly.
With the spiritualism and holistic. And I think you're really on that journey, and you can really see that.
Thank you. I have been. I strive, really every moment and every day. Sometimes I catch myself saying something, which we can all always be like that. Sometimes we're a little abrasive, sometimes or insensitive. It's interesting. So I'll tell you, I was going out with some friends the other day, and she is an old classmate of mine who's put on a lot of weight. And she was in my class since I was in kindergarten. And we were leaving an event, and she said, she was talking about weight. And I said, look, not everybody in menopause has to put on weight. It's just an excuse, and you can't use that as an excuse. And I said, come on, fatty. And she looked at me and she said, wow, that really hurt. And I looked at her and I said, really? This is India? Are you really going to react like one of those paranoid people who reacts to the word fatty? And she said, yes, it has really hurt me. And I said, I am so sorry. And in retrospect, when I look back at it, I thought, wow, that was a very, very insensitive comment to make. Whereas it's something that we would have said to each other earlier and not thought about.
Yeah.
I realized how much it hit her, and I realized how, I think it was more than insensitive. I think it was just coming from a place of complete unawareness that I must have lapsed into at the time. But I said it so naturally, and it didn't come, I promise you, it didn't come from malintent
Of course,
at
yeah.
all.
Yeah.
It came as a half joke. It came with the comfort that I thought I had with a friend. But I have to realize that now semantics and words play a hugely important role, which sometimes I think are taken to the other extreme.
Rishad, when I was young and I'd come running to the school bus and I was huge, they'd say, oh, you're too fat as I was running, and things like that. Or, don't go on the seesaw. No one can sit with fatty bombolati, all this kind of stuff. And I used to cry and cry and cry. The word fat, to me, was the worst F word in the world. Until today, I only see myself as fat, even though I'm not.
But you're beautiful, and you always have been. To me, for example, when I first laid eyes on you at the tennis court, and I said, who's that beautiful girl in the red skirt and the white t-shirt? And she had the most stunning face and the most stunningly wild, expressive leonine hair, and coupled with the wildness of a wild Mustang.
A lion.
And
we've always been friends since then.
yeah, and I always found her astonishingly beautiful. I never saw, I think, it's like when you see Oprah today at 70, she is looking
Beautiful.
fantastic. I just saw her during the convention and her speech was fantastic. And now today at 70, she's looking better than she ever was. I mean,
and it just proves you can always be aspire to be a better version of yourself.
Completely. And you have to every day.
And
that's your physical will emanate what you're... But it's work. And as I said, the work for me that's worked for me is, as I said, for me, the diet, the exercise, the meditation, the breath work, the awareness, keeping centered, and being extremely sensitive to your environment and people around you.
Yeah. You've studied a lot over the years, whether it's spiritualism or holistic.
Yes, I follow a system called the integral yoga, and I'm very steeped in that now and have been since the year 2000 when I started going. So I've been reading the books of that philosophy for the longest time. And so it's a very deep philosophy, and it's also very simple. And when you break it down, one of the quotes of my philosophers which I love very much, is be quiet, be simple, be happy, do your work as best as you can, keep yourself always open to me. That is all you need to know.
Oh.
And it's such a simple 5-line thing, which makes it very simple. And when they were asked how you should construct your day, for example, in this lineage, they said, if you read our works for 20 minutes to half an hour a day, do 6 hours of quality work, 6 to 8 hours of actual work, but 6 hours of concentrated work, exercise 1 or 2 hours a day, eat sensibly, sleep well.
Yeah.
Simple. They've laid down such simple guidelines, but that is for a lot of people not easy to do.
I think he's right. It's for most people, it's not.
It is so simple, but it's actually not easy.
Yeah.
And because it's just not, because consistency is something that comes from stability, and a lot of us have not had stable backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. If you take one ingredient, what you just said there, sleep, if that's disturbed, you're not getting the right amount.
Everything goes for a toss.
Yeah.
If you overeat and you eat the wrong thing, everything goes for a toss, because digestion takes up 70% of your energy. And so if you're spending 70% of your energy digesting your food all the time, you have no energy to exercise, you have no energy for your work.
Yeah.
So it's all constantly striking that daily balance, that daily consistency, the daily stability, and the daily awareness.
And of course, that connection between the gut and brain axis.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
Well, today has been completely different. And so, not the whole thing. I don't know if we even have time for anything else.
Well, we have time for UFO, don't we?
Yeah.
So, Richard, just before, how would you describe us? What is it? You're a coach, a holistic coach, spiritualist coach. What would you describe yourself for people listening?
So I am a therapist. I work with different modalities. And let's just leave it at that for now.
Okay.
People come to me with all sorts of stuff that they need fixed, right from the physical through to the emotional and the spiritual.
Right.
And I try and help them as best as I can.
And you've got a website which we can include that at the show if you want to later on, so people can get to know more about you and what you do as a therapist.
I do. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So we can include that. So we on this show, we always have an off topic, which is about aliens, because me and Indiraa love aliens. And we often look out for them.
And they love us.
They love us as well, They come visit sometimes as well.
They're around.
Green and brown ones.
They are around.
They are around. They definitely are. So we've got a really good one. Now that I found the article, I can actually give you the title. It's called Mystery of Alien Song, coming from one of Earth's deepest pints, finally solved. Can you imagine that? It's an alien song. Who would have believed it? And I've got to put my glasses on again. Here we go.
I'm a legal alien now.
Well, this could be that too. All right, here we go. The mysterious noises coming from the Mariana Trench have finally been explained after fears that the spooky sounds were an alien invasion. Hailed as one of the most mysterious places on Earth, the 37,000 deep trench can be located at the floor of the Pacific Ocean, where few have ventured. In 2014, eerie sounds coming from the trench were recorded, lasting between 2.5 and 3.5 seconds. Their source was unknown, but scientists dubbed the noises as biotwangs. 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 I guess that's how it's pronounced. Now, 10 years later, scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, have reanalyzed the sounds, and sorry to all believers out there, but they weren't alien calls after all. The sounds were recorded by underwater gliders that were used to carry out acoustic surveys of the Mariana Trench. The Mail online report. This is the Mail. Deep moans at frequencies. Oh, it might be an orgy, was it? Deep moans at frequencies between 38 and 8,000 hertz could be heard on the 5-part sounds.
They were having a whale of a time.
I think so. Baffling researchers. In 2016, scientists from Oregon State University proposed that the peculiar sound could be a previously unheard baleen whale call.
There you go.
There's your whale. Sharon Newkirk, Senior Faculty Research Assistant in Marine Bioacoustics at the University, revealed at the time, it's very distinct with all these crazy parts. The low frequency moaning, God, we get that all the time from our neighbours, don't we?
Yeah.
The low frequency moaning part is typical of baleen whales, and it's that kind of twangy sound that makes it really unique. We don't find many new baleen whale calls. 8 years on, researchers have analysed the noises again, but this time using a combination of visual and acoustic survey data. The new study, led by Dr. Anne Allen, explained that the team at OSU were not far off, and Bridie's whales were actually to blame for the peculiar sounds. The findings, published in the Frontiers in Marine Science Journal, revealed it was assumed to be produced by a baleen whale, but without visual verification, it was impossible to assign a species.
So it could be an alien.
Yeah, it could be an alien whale or anything.
Alien
Yes,
whale,
it could
yeah.
be, yeah. I mean, the truth is out there, down there. Using a combination of visual and acoustic survey data collected in the Marina Archipelago, we determined that biowangs are produced by Bridie's whales. I like that, Bridie's whales. The large mammals can be found across the globe and enjoy warm temperatures in oceans such as the Atlantic, Indian and Pacific Oceans. To verify that these whales were the source of the cause, the team used artificial intelligence to confirm their findings. We use a combination of manual and machine learning annotation methods to detect biowangs in our extensive historical passive acoustic monitoring datasets collected across the central and western North Pacific, the study explained. We identified a consistent seasonal presence of biowangs in the Marina Archipelago and to the east and Wake Island, with occasional occurrence as far away as the northwestern Hawaiian islands, and near equator, because they've got all these apostrophe and strokes between marking the words. Okay, never mind.
Never mind.
Speaking to Popular Science, lead researcher Dr. Allen explained a theory behind the whale's usual call. It's possible that they use the biowatting as a contact call, a sort of Marco Polo of the ocean, but we need more information before we can say it for sure. Now, hold on a second. Again, full article, if you need to read it for yourself, isn't it? But there's also an audio file. Let's see if we can play it. Should we see if we can play it?
Yeah, sure.
What these sounds are like?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It's a bit scary, right?
Mystical.
Oh, wow, I love that.
Wow. That is like an orgy, isn't it? I don't know what deep orgy.
You know,
going on
I
there.
don't know where your guttural mind is going,
There's no
because I
guttural
did
mind
not think
about
of
it.
that. I thought that sounds so nice. It's like saying, "Come, I love you."
No, it doesn't sound at all like that, dear. Sorry. Yeah, see, what you said again? Repeat what you said.
Come, I love you.
Come.
There you go. It's
There
like
you go.
bio-wanking.
Exactly. So, as always, we have a song to play, and we usually play it in the middle, but we're going to play it out. Richard, this one is dedicated to you. Let me find it what it is, and let me see what we picked here, because a good one. Is it by Lady Gaga? Who is it by? It is by Lady Gaga. It's called Born This Way, you know it?
Yes.
Born This Way. All right. Let me get it up here in my
Love it.
spotty player. Yeah, and then it can play
To
us
match
out.
his spotty face.
Yeah. Absolute pleasure having you on the show, Richard.
Absolute pleasure
And I'm sure
to be
we can
here
have
on
you
the
on
farm
again
as
remotely.
always. Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yes.
get you on remotely for the next show.
Let's do it
We
for
can
the
get you on
country.
phone, even wherever you are in your travels. We know you travel a lot, but we will definitely get you on. So thank you very much for being on and sharing all those
Thank you so much for inviting me.
useful
It's been
information.
an
with us.
honor.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to the responses.
Oh, it'll be plenty.
Good.
Yeah. So let's play it out, and until the next time, folks.
It's
Bye.
Bye.
Or capital H-I-M. Just put your paws up, 'cause you were born this way, baby. My mama told me when I was young, we're all born superstars. She rolled my hair, put my lipstick on, in a glass of her boudoir. There's nothing wrong with loving who you are, she said, 'cause he made you perfect, babe. So hold your head up, girl, and you'll go far. There's an to say, I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause I make no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hurt yourself and clean. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Give yourself prudence and love your friends. Subway kid, rejoice your truth. In the religion of the insecure, I must be myself, respect my youth. A different law is not a sin. Believe capital H I am. Hey, I love my life, I love this record and me, I'm on it, believe I yes. I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hurt yourself and regret, just love yourself and yourself. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way, born this way. There ain't no other way, baby, I was born, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Whether you're broke or evergreen, you're black, white, beige, chola descent, you're Lebanese, you're Orient. Whether life's disabilities left you outcast but leader teased, rejoice and love yourself today, 'cause baby, you were born this way. No matter gay, straight or bi, lesbian, transgender life, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born to survive. No matter black, white or beige, chola or Orient made, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born to be brave. I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hurt yourself and regret, just love yourself and yourself. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way, yeah. Oh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way, born this way. There ain't no other way, baby, I was born, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Hey, I was born this way, hey, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way, hey, I was born this way, hey, I was born this way, hey, I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way, hey. Same DNA.
Well, folks, on that note, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we have, and we look forward to bringing you more of the latest news and hot topics surrounding mental health on our next show. Remember, new episodes of the Mad Podcast drop every Sunday
at 6 p.m.
Episodes are available to listen to on Spotify, Apple Music, and of course, the Musicians Against Depression website, an online toolbox that contains a wealth of information, essential reading, and links relating to mental health. As always, if you or someone you know would like to join the conversation, either in studio or remotely, email us at musiciansagainstdepression@gmail.com or visit the MAD website at www.musiciansagainstdepression.uk for further info. All links, including social media, are provided in the show notes. And remember, no problem in life is insurmountable, and help is just a conversation away. Until the next time, from myself and the wonderful Indiraa,
Take care.